Okay, one side of my face is really light and one side is really dark, but it's okay. Hey guys, I'm Tori. If you're new to my channel, hi. I'm gonna be a sophomore at Texas A&M University and I'm majoring in biology. If you are not new, then welcome back. Okay, I asked you guys to ask me questions on my Instagram about literally anything college, ranging from roommates to dorms to social life, study tips, literally anything. And you guys asked like amazing questions, so I'm gonna try to answer all of them. And if you have any more questions, feel free to like put them in the comments and I'll answer them. If you're not subscribed, make sure to press the red button to make sure you're subscribed and get post notifications whenever I upload a video. And then we'll be like best friends or something. Subscribe and then follow me on my social media because I have honestly been super active on Instagram lately and I'm usually not this active. But if you want to be part of the next Q&A, you can go ahead and ask me questions. Follow my Instagram. Okay, first question was, what do you do when you miss class? I was super lucky in that aspect. My whole freshman year, well, lucky but unlucky, was during COVID times. If you miss class, professors mainly always had lectures recorded. I didn't know a professor that didn't record lecture, so it was always easy to just rewatch lecture like right after. But I know a lot of universities are trying to go completely in person with nothing online. So if that is the case and your professor doesn't record lecture, which would suck, but in the case that that does happen, I think the best thing to do is in the beginning of the year, find friends or make friends in that class. I know it'll be super scary or intimidating because sometimes you're literally in classes with 300 other students. So if that is the case, find friends, make friends in that class to where you can get notes from, where they can kind of fill you in on what they went over during class. And then in the case that you can't find friends or you don't want to make friends in that class, I think your best thing to do is email your professor telling them why you missed class and if there was anything super important that you could go over, or if they could email you the PowerPoints or notes from that class, because I know a lot of professors obviously keep their PowerPoints or upload their PowerPoints from lecture. So if you miss class, it's not the end of the world because professors are always willing to help, hopefully. Not always, but most of the times. Another thing is good habits. I think there are a lot of questions that are like, oh, good habits, good study tips, but I think one of my main like good habits to do, get a good sleep schedule. I know it's super tough to have a good sleep schedule, especially recovering from summer and especially in college, because sometimes you might not have a class until like 3 in the afternoon. One of my best habits that I had was making a good sleep schedule or establishing a good sleep schedule, and then from there making a good schedule throughout your day, which there was another question about, so I'll go into that later. Bad habits, super bad habits that you can acquire are like eating bad. I know I stress ate a lot during college. I guess like putting off working out, or like not really like working on myself, if that makes sense. Like I was super into the studying, I was super into like the organizations, and then I just filled up my schedule way too much that I wasn't making time to work out. I wasn't making time to like pray as much as I wanted to. I wasn't making time to just do things that I like to do. Like, yes, I like to hang out with friends. Yes, studying was fun sometimes, but I kind of let that take over my whole life. So that wasn't a very good habit. But I mean, there's ways to fix that. You'll realize it and then you'll get into like a good habit. And I think that mainly happened like second semester for me. How would you take notes in class? This varies like across the board. Depending on your major, depending on what classes you're taking, will determine like what note-taking method is better for you. So I took notes differently for almost every single class. When it came to like my math classes, like chemistry or calculus, which I didn't take calculus during the year, I took it this past summer. But when it came to like those classes, my professors had something called pre-lecture, where it was videos of them going over every example, or just giving a bunch of examples and then teaching it to you and going over it. And then actually during class, all we would do is like practice problems. Whenever it was that kind of situation, I would watch the pre-lecture videos, I would do all the examples, basically take notes on my own time, and then I would just do the examples with him during class. But if it's not the case, if your professor is just teaching you and showing examples during class, then I think that the best way that you can do that is write as fast as you can. Honestly, like write down the examples, try to learn everything, but that one was difficult. For classes like my biology class that are mainly like biology or psychology that were mainly just lecturing and the teacher reading, I found it so tough for me, I don't know why, to like write everything, like look at PowerPoints, write down the notes, and also listen to him. Like I found myself just copying word for word on the PowerPoint and not really knowing what anything actually meant. So whenever I realized that, I started kind of not taking so much notes during lecture. I would just listen to him, and then if there was something super important that I noticed that he like explained but wasn't written down on his PowerPoints, I would write that down. And then after class, I would go back through the PowerPoints. I would have the PowerPoint on one side and like the book on the other side, and I would just like take notes, write down like the important key terms from there. Another thing that I realized like during those lecture type classes like bio or psych was typing them allowed me to listen way better than writing them down, because writing them down I was looking up and down, and it made things very difficult, and I also was writing things very slowly. Whenever I started typing them, it made things so much easier. It's kind of just really finding what works best for you, but that was some of the ways that I did it. Best and worst thing to buy for your dorm. I don't really know. I feel like I didn't really buy anything that I was like, dang, I shouldn't have bought this. But I think one of the most annoying things was our bathroom rug and our room rug. So our room rug shed like crazy. We would literally find pieces from our rug like outside in the hallway, like sometimes stuck to other people's shoes. It was hilarious, but it was very annoying. So that was like really annoying for our room rug. And then our bathroom rug just kept getting stuck on the door because it was too thick. So I think my point here is, do not buy something, or make sure to pay attention to the quality of what you're buying before you buy it. One of the best things that I bought for my dorm, I think one of my biggest investments in something that I did not regret at all, was my mattress pad. If you're living in a dorm or even sometimes an apartment, you need a mattress pad. It just makes sleeping so much more comfortable. And yeah, I made a dorm video and talked all about it, so go watch it. What is the best advice you can give to a college student? This is like a very, very broad question. I think the best advice I can give a college student, finding a way to balance your social life and your academic life. And another question is kind of similar, so I'll go into that more like throughout the video. But just like that sentence right there, balancing social life and academic life and being able to find a way to do that on your own, is probably the best advice I can give. Have you started applying for internships if that's what goes on with your major? So, okay, like I said, I'm a biology major trying to seek the pre-med route, so I do want to go to medical school. I have not applied to internships only because I got my EMT certification in high school. I'm working at my local hospital as an EMT basic. That's already super good experience because it's a job in the healthcare field and I'm surrounding myself in that environment. And then also throughout the year, I work as a standby EMT on campus, so I'm able to work standby for the football games, basketball games, and like at the rec center. So that's another thing that also goes into like what I want to pursue. Again, it's working with patients, it's learning certain medical terms, medical drugs, and that certification in itself is already super valuable. I think that whenever it comes closer to it, I do plan on graduating a year early. So that year off, I'll probably try to apply for an internship at a hospital. I would like to be a dermatologist, so maybe shadowing one of those will be super fun, but I think that's something that I'll probably get into more towards my senior year, because like I said, right now, EMT in school is already like a pretty good job. Do you recommend living with a roommate or living on your own on campus? Okay, this all depends on how you work and what kind of person you are. A lot goes into this, I guess. First of all, it's if you're gonna get a random or if you're gonna go with somebody that you already know. I was lucky enough to find someone that I already knew. She was one of my friends from like the 4th grade, so we weren't super close, because I know they said it's never like a good idea to room right like out of high school with one of your best friends. But we were like, I don't know how to explain this, but we were friends, and like the year was literally perfect. She was hilarious and I loved living with her. And yeah, that just worked out perfectly. But I also think it depends on what type of roommate you're gonna get. Me and my roommate, we held each other accountable for certain like academic assignments. You know, it was easy to tell her something that bothered me. It was easy for her to tell me something that bothered her, like, you know, and it didn't make anything uncomfortable. So I think if you're gonna room with somebody that you already know, that's like a better idea. I think randoms can work out amazingly, but it's also like a really big risk. I've heard some horror stories about random roommates, and I don't think that I'd be willing to take that risk if it was just me and her. This year I'm actually gonna get 2 randoms, but I'm gonna be living off campus and I'm rooming with one of my best friends. So I think like in the end, if my 2 randoms are terrible, I'll at least have her. But if you're living in a small dorm and actually sharing a room with someone, if living alone and working in a room by yourself is what's gonna allow you to be like academically successful, and if you're also a social person, that being able to make friends outside of like academics won't be a problem for you, then I'll say go ahead and live by yourself. But I do think that getting your roommate is also like the #1 way to make friends whenever you go into college. So I think that my preference or advice would be to get a roommate. And then it would also be that you already kind of know that roommate. If it is random, then try to meet up with them before you actually move in. If you're just going in like blindsided, then good luck. Okay, this is more of just an A&M question, so if you don't go to A&M, you probably won't understand it. But somebody asked Commons or Sabisa. I lived in the Commons, so of course I had to be loyal to the Commons dining hall. However, I did go to Sabisa a couple times and their food wasn't terrible. I honestly think it all tastes the same. But because I lived at the Commons, I have to be loyal to the Commons. Somebody said, I need some study habits, please. I think first semester, you're kind of testing the waters. You see like how it's gonna work. And then second semester, you know like, okay, this is what worked better for me first semester. This is what I'm gonna do. Or this didn't work out for me. This is what I'm gonna change. What worked best for me, again, I'm gonna say it, is staying ahead. I would study for my exams at least a week and a half before the actual exam date. I know to some people that might sound crazy, to some people that might not sound like enough time, but studying even like just 30 minutes a day for an exam that's coming up will help so much, because whenever you get closer, it relieves stress, and then you also have time to ask for help or email your professor if you don't understand something. Professors aren't very likely to answer questions the morning of or the night before an exam. So staying ahead was like the most amazing thing when it came to studying for exams. Another thing is studying before and after the class. So if I had a class for biology, for instance, that's my major, that's the class I struggled with the most, I would go over the material from the last class before class, and then after class I would go over the material that we just went over. I think another good study habit is to ask the people that have already taken the class if you want to find someone. There's usually a lot of student tutors that had just taken the class the semester before, so asking them for advice, like what to study, what not to study, how your professor's exams are structured, that was like an amazing thing that helped me. I really want to make another video about like just study habits, so I probably won't go too much into depth. Another thing, like I've said in 1,000 videos before, a change in setting. If you are in that room 24/7, you will most likely not want to study in that same room. Finding a study room, library, coffee shop, literally anything to like stay focused helps me so much. Okay, somebody asked, have you gone to any college parties? Yes. I went to parties in the way that like if it was my friend's birthday and they were throwing a party, it's like, okay, I'd go. But it wasn't like an every weekend kind of thing. But I mean, I did go to some and they were fun. I highly recommend them. Great way to meet people. Okay, somebody said they need some time management tips. Creating a schedule and then following that schedule every single day. So I think the biggest thing that helped me do that was making a to-do list either the night before or the morning of. You know, first of all, waking up early. I don't care if you say you're not an early bird. Early doesn't have to be like 6 a.m., 7:30, 8. Early can be 9 o'clock. Waking up hours before your first class helps so much because, okay, listen to me. Somebody explained this theory and that one person is in med school right now. So I listened to them and it helped me tremendously. You are way more likely to be productive in the morning whenever you wake up than you are in the middle of the night when you're tired. Because, okay, like if you really think about it, you're gonna wake up early, you're gonna do all your work, and then you'll have the rest of the day to do whatever. Or maybe you have a lot of work. Either way, you're gonna finish early. If you sleep super late till like 1 or 2 in the afternoon, and then you like start working, you're not gonna go to sleep, or you're gonna continue working until like 3 in the morning sometimes. And at night, you're already tired, you're already like done with the day, like you're not gonna want to do anything, you're just gonna want to go to sleep. So then that like, it just messes everything up. Waking up early, going to sleep early makes you so much more productive, trust me. I mean, if you're a night owl and you like to work at night, then go ahead, but you're weird. Making a to-do list. Write down every single thing that you have to do that day. I know some people that would literally write time slots, like I'm working on this assignment from this time to this time, eating from this time to this time. It makes you feel so accomplished because you want to check mark like all of those items. I don't know if that really helped, but hopefully it did. Best way to make a friend. I think that the best way to make friends is joining organizations. Organizations I know might be scary because you don't want to like fill your plate too much, but even joining like one, you'll make so much friends. It's kind of just like built-in friends already. Like you're joining the organization and you're gonna be friends with those people. And college has so many amazing ones, so I definitely recommend joining orgs. Okay, the next question, how to apply or when to apply to organizations. So the biggest tip that was given to me when it came to organizations was join something that you're interested in and then join something with your major, which is exactly what I did. So I joined a flow, and it was a freshman in engineering, science, and technology flow. So I was already going to surround myself with people that had to be as academically disciplined as I did. Not saying that other majors are different, but of course, like, I was surrounding myself with people in the same major that had the same workload as me, so that was already a super big advantage. And then I also joined one that I was interested in, and that was an on-campus, off-campus organization with my church. I guess like that how to apply. That first week of college, no matter where you're going, they're gonna have so many organizations. Some people have, like, A&M has this thing called Howdy Week, and it's basically just like where all the orgs like set up their little thing and they talk to you about any organization. But I'm pretty sure other colleges have the exact same thing. So you want to participate in that, because that's where you're gonna like learn about so many different organizations and see which one really fits you. And then when to apply. If they open applications first semester, they're most likely to open applications second semester too. If you like want to take it easy that first semester and you don't specifically want to join an organization, you want to focus on school, or you don't want to be like too busy, then that's completely okay, because you can also just join second semester, but that one's really up to you. Things to know when going out to places you've never been before, or parties you've never been to. Never go anywhere alone. Never. Especially in college, they're usually bigger cities with creepy people, so never go out alone. How to make the best class schedule. So class schedules are kind of unfortunate because sometimes you don't really have a choice on certain classes or certain professors. One of the best things that you can do is, first of all, if you're working, find a way to get early student worker registration, because that will help you out big time. If you're not working, I think Rate My Professor is one of the biggest things. You need to take advantage of Rate My Professor. It literally tells you how that professor teaches, how they are, their ratings, their stars, if you need a textbook, like so many things. So Rate My Professor, make sure to go on it. Try to give yourself time. Like I said, if you're an early bird, sign up for early classes. 8 a.m.s are a different story. I am someone that would wake up at 7 a.m. most weeks in college, and I myself still do not think that I could do an 8 a.m. Another one is try to get your classes over with so that you have the whole day to work on whatever work you have. And whenever I say early, like range from like 9 to 1 or 2. Another thing is try not to compress your classes to where you have no time in between. That will just fry your brain, and then most likely you just will stop paying attention in those later classes. How to make the most out of a small dorm. I think just make it as cozy as possible. Like I said, I made a dorm video, go watch it. Best advice to get A's in your classes. I think I've already like kind of described how to get A's in your classes. I think, again, like I said, staying ahead, studying ahead. Another one, how did you stay focused while studying? Literally locking my phone away. I was someone that was like, no, I need to take my phone, just because I'm always like thinking of the worst possible thing that can happen. But putting it in my backpack and then putting it away. Also listening to music. People sleep on Beethoven. Listening to instrumentals. If I'm like trying to work out a math problem or a chem problem, or I'm reading a book, I cannot like listen to music that has words in it. That just makes me so distracted, and it'll either make me like just think of the song, or it's just too much going into my brain. Listening to specifically like Beethoven or the Piano Guys on Apple Music, I have a playlist, is amazing. It just like, it like put my brain at ease. I don't know, for some reason, like popping in my AirPods and listening to that playlist just helped so much. Was it hard balancing your social life with how much you studied? Honestly, no. And that also just goes into the time management and making a schedule. With that, you'll see how much time you have left to go get lunch with friends. And honestly, like, believe it or not, making that schedule allowed me to get almost all of my work done in the mornings, to where I had my Fridays and my Saturdays completely free. And I did have a pretty heavy workload. I was always someone that put school before friends, and like, not in a bad way. It was just like, I knew that if I had an exam coming up, I couldn't go out this night. I couldn't go do something that night, you know? But it wasn't something that I had to do all the time because of how like my schedule worked. How did you make so many friends? Joining organizations. How to drop out? Please don't. And the last one, also kind of a College Station thing, I think. I do not think anywhere else has a lanes, but canes or lanes? Canes. Lanes is just way too breaded. Okay, I hope I answered all of your questions, and I hope I didn't ramble too much, but thank you guys so much for watching. I love making college videos. Like I said, if you ever want advice, literally just DM me and I'd be more than happy to give it to you. But yeah, I love you guys. Make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video, whenever it is.